Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to talk about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, episode 4. This episode is apparently the best episode of like all time. And apparently it's so much better than anything that has ever really aired and on like The Walking Dead and like everything. Like that sort of all the early reviews that have been out for this episode have all said that this episode here is going to win Emmys for like writing and like acting and like even like directing and all that. Apparently it's just a really, really great episode. People are really praising it as like the best one yet. And I'm just kind of, obviously that I'm excited for that. I mean, there's no way for me to hear that and then not be excited. Like I'm going to be excited hearing that because that's what I want with this show, right? I want really incredible writing. So I want to get into exactly what everyone's talking about here. So definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And also as a reminder, I will be doing my Q&A video tomorrow for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live episode 3 and 4. So if you want to take part in this Q&A, you have any questions for me, just go follow the Discord. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. Really amazing place to discuss everything The Walking Dead. Like people are in there all the time talking about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. There's channels on there to talk about all the other shows and all of that. That's where I get my questions. I ask for them every single week and people post their questions in there and then I'll just sort of go through them and then I go through all the questions and whatnot. And then, So if you want to take part in these Q&As, definitely go follow the Discord. Again, the server name is Appetite for the Dead. The link for the Discord will be in the description of this video. So as I was saying, episode 4 is apparently one of the best episodes of like all time. That's sort of the way it is being portrayed right now. And so this episode here is titled What We, and the director is Michael Slovis, I believe. It's entirely written by Danai Gurira, which I feel like is something that is just, it's so special because we haven't really, from what I remember, there hasn't really been a lot of like actors or actresses on The Walking Dead just in general. Like from the very beginning, that have like written episodes. Yes, there's been some that have come back and like directed episodes and stuff, but I don't think there's really been anyone that's just like taken an episode and is like, I'm writing this whole thing. Like, it's just going to be my episode. I'm going to write it, right? And I think for her, it was honestly, I think it's perfect. Honestly, hearing about, her talking about the episode and talking about the sort of the behind the scenes with, working on it with like Scott Gimple and Andrew Lincoln. And I like the fact that she was basically given like full creative control over this episode. Like whenever they would ask a question about what were we going to do here, or what are we going to do about this and that, whatever, Scott Gimple was like, well, no, you ask her, she's the boss of this kind of thing. And I like that. I really do like that. And I'm very, very excited about this episode because yes, people are saying it's going to be one of the best episodes of all time or whatever. But like for me, I'm honestly just more excited about the fact that they are going to be talking about everything, right? Because they need to. There's so much to talk about. There's a lot to talk about with this episode. And Michonne says in the episode, literally, like, we need a timeout, like that's basically why we are here. We need a timeout and they are going to get that, right? And we do actually have some teaser images here that I do want to get into here for episode 4. So it's just a lot of stuff of like, we see Rick and Michonne both together. And again, these are like the images for the episode, and all of the images are just of Rick and Michonne. Like there's no other character at all. And it's funny because usually they release a bunch of teaser images for the next episode and you'll see other characters, you'll see different like settings and all of that. But literally in this one here, it is just Rick and Michonne the entire time. It's literally just them talking about whatever. Now, I will say, you can sort of look at the backgrounds here and you can tell, a lot of what this episode is going to be, right? Like you go to certain shots here and you see Rick's hair here is like wet, right? And he still has like a CRM soldier uniform on. There's some shots of Michonne. She still has her CRM uniform on. And it's nighttime, right? It's still nighttime. It's raining. This seems like it's going to be in like the beginning of the episode kind of thing. And it is obviously just going to be, I feel like in the beginning here, it's going to be them really just mad at each other, talking about whatever. And obviously, because right where they left off, they're pretty angry at each other, right? Well, Rick's not really angry with Michonne. Rick is just, I mean, I guess he is. He's angry. He's frustrated, right? Like he just wants her to go because he doesn't want her to die. He doesn't want Alexandria to go, right? And so he's angry because he cares about her and he's trying to like just get her to go, right? And Michonne, she feels angry because of just what Rick is saying and what he's doing. She's just like, why are you doing this? Like, so I think that's why she brought him here, because she's just like, you know what? We're going to sit here, we're going to talk all night, and we're going to talk about this, right? So if you look at a lot of the background shots here, it looks like this is nighttime, and just because of their like facial expressions here, like they seem to be more serious and whatnot. So I think that there's going to be a lot of arguing and whatnot, but it does seem like it is overall gonna, get into a better place, because we see some shots later on where we see Rick and Michonne. First of all, I mean, Rick's hair is dry and you could tell it's light outside. So it is like the next morning, right? So this whole episode seems like it's really going to be Rick and Michonne talking the entire time. Like this is exactly how I see the episode playing out. I see the very beginning, we're going to see Rick and Michonne basically, I guess, get out of the water and go into the building. I don't even know if we'll see that part of it. We'll just probably see them in the building. But yeah, and then we'll just see them talking about whatever. And it's pretty much going to be that for probably most of the episode. And then eventually it'll be daytime. That'll be closer to the end of the episode. And things will be going really good. They'll have talked about everything, like literally everything. And then I think that's when the CRM actually does show up. Like right in the morning, the CRM is going to show up, I believe, because we do see a shot from the trailer, actually. A helicopter is outside, and so I think that there's going to be CRM soldiers probably going inside. There is a lot of stuff from like previous trailers where you see Michonne and Rick, you know, it's during the day and all of that, and they're killing walkers and stuff. So I think that that's going to be towards the end. Like there's going to be just some sort of action scene at the end where they're killing CRM soldiers and I guess trying to get away. And I do think they are going to get away. I think the last scene is probably going to be them getting into like I guess that yellow truck, that yellow and green truck or whatever that we saw in the trailer. They're probably going to get into that and drive off. Jadis is going to be like right behind them, and then I think that's where it's going to end, on a cliffhanger with Jadis right there, ready to get them, right? And then we're just going to be obviously waiting for episode 5 and see how that goes, because that episode could be like Jadis's death episode. What if Michonne kills Jadis in that episode? Like I feel like out of all the characters right now that are going to kill Jadis, it's going to be Michonne, right? Like I don't see Rick killing Jadis just because, I mean, I feel like it's a little obvious, but I don't know. I just think that Michonne has a lot to be angry about. And there is stuff to it, though. Like, there is a lot of stuff to it. Like, it's very, very complicated because, as Jadis mentioned in the very opening minutes of episode 3, you know, I saved your life. I could have just left you there and you would have died. But I actually saved your life, which is true. That part of it is very true. But she is benefiting from him being here. So it's like, you can't really say that you saved his life because yes, you did. Like he's alive. Like he probably wouldn't have been alive if you didn't do this. So like that's the worst case scenario no matter what, right? So Rick, I think, is no matter what thankful for that, but it's like she's benefiting from this, from him being here and him being stuck here, right? And it sort of ruined everything. So I don't know, you kind of have to look at it like, you know, would you rather be here and dealing with this or dead, right? So I think for Rick, it's one of those things where it's like, you don't have to like any of it, I guess, right? Like I think that's something that is also really important, is like, you can understand that as well, but also there's still, it doesn't mean it's all good, right? So I think that that's how I think anyways Michonne's going to view everything, and I think that's why Michonne probably, if anything, will be responsible for killing Jadis. I feel like it's going to be Michonne or it's going to be Beale. It's going to be one of those two characters because I don't see her dying any other way. But again, if you kill Jadis, then Rick has to worry about Alexandria. So I don't think they're going to try and kill her, right? Like I think Rick is going to tell Michonne, don't do that. If you do that, it's going to mean this and that, right? I think that's why she won't do that. So it depends on what they plan to do. And that's why I'm really interested in this episode, because episode 4 could get into a plan that they have, because now they're really in an unfortunate situation. Because, I mean, yes, they got away, but now if they don't go back, what's going to happen to Alexandria, right? And so they almost need to talk to Jadis. They almost need to do something like that. So maybe their plan is to like convince Jadis to be like, no, just let us go. Or maybe their plan is to like, I don't know, go back or like get help or take people out of Alexandria. I'm not entirely sure where they're going, because this is the part that's very, very hard to predict with where the story is going next, right? Because it can really go in a lot of directions here, right? And apparently, again, this one seems to be the best one yet, but I don't think it's for the reasons that we're thinking in terms of, you know, like there's something that we learn in terms of Rick and Michonne trying to fight back. I really feel like it's because they really do talk about everything and everything that we've been wondering, you know. And I think as a fan watching The Walking Dead for so many years without Rick, I think Rick just learning about everything in terms of all the deaths, and if she gets into the Whisperers, and talking about Daryl, talking about Judith, you know, him learning about RJ, and even Negan, right? Like getting into what happened with him, why, you know, they let him out, and why he's just kind of maybe just seeing Rick's thoughts on that. Like, what if Rick is so upset about it? Like, I don't think he would be, but I just want to see Rick's reaction to like, yeah, you know, Negan, he actually got out. You know, he was actually helping out and doing this and that. I like what's Rick's reaction going to be to that? So a lot of this stuff I want to see, but I don't know if we're going to get into it, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that I'm just kind of like, I don't know if there's a point to getting into it. And I wonder if they'll just save that for later, because I really feel like that overall is like, you know, Gimple's storytelling is like, because that really is like, you know, that just over the years, like Gimple has told stories like that a lot, where he doesn't give us everything, right? Like there's certain things we want to see, there's like this mention or whatever, we want to get all of this, but like it just never ever happens. Like they never get into any of it, and I wonder if that's something that like will happen here. there's going to be a lot that they get into, but there's not going to be a reference to Negan at all because they're just going to save that for the future because they want people to still be excited about, you know, stuff for the future and all of that. Like, I could totally see that happening. I think for sure, though, Rick will be learning of RJ, what Judith has been up to over the last however long. I think the Whisperers could come up because that makes sense. That was something that they were overall dealing with. And then maybe she mentions Daryl, you know, and it might not be Daryl by name, but it might just be like, you know, we were all so lost. We were trying to look for you forever. And then maybe she says like Daryl, you know, was out there for so long, this and that. I feel like that could be all we might get. And then she'll talk about Judith and RJ mostly, right? And then it'll mostly be stuff about them and what she's been through, and then Rick will talk about what he's been through and stuff. And I feel like that could be a lot of it, and then also a lot of arguing about just like what's going on right now kind of thing, right? So yeah, these images here look really incredible though, and it's funny to me that all of the images are literally just of Rick and Michonne. It's literally just them. There's like nothing else, and I think it's because this episode is just that. So I don't know if this episode's going to be one of the more, I don't want to say boring episodes. Like, is that a possibility? I don't think so. You know, for me, if that is something that people do say, I mean, obviously everyone can have their own opinion, but like for me, I really like those episodes. I love those episodes where it's just two characters in a room talking about whatever, and it just starts out so simple, and then just by the end of it, like you just spend so much time with them in a room like that you understand them so much more, and you just, you know, it's like the perfect time to just like, you know, take a break and just talk about everything, right? So I'm very, very fascinated in this episode because this is the first time that really The Walking Dead's going to be doing this in a very long time. They haven't done a lot of episodes like this. I'm trying to think of one of their last episodes where they actually just had, you know, two characters just talking about a bunch of stuff, and it was like just really, that was it. Honestly, you probably have to go back to when Gimple was the showrunner of The Walking Dead, which I will probably do a video on that at some point, talking about Gimple as the showrunner of this show, and you know, just talk about his story, you know, telling and certain things that we can see in this show and compare it to The Walking Dead and all that, and just, you know, because I feel like people viewed Gimple differently now, right? Like, people liked him and all that. I'm not saying people didn't like him, but it was just like, you know, with Carl's death and then the cliffhanger and stuff, it was just like, okay, you're ruining this show that everyone loves so much. And so that's why, you know, he didn't get removed as a showrunner. I mean, I guess he did, but he was promoted to chief content officer, which overall, I mean, is really amazing because he has run everything since then. Like, everything that we have right now is because of him. And now he's the showrunner of this show. And this show is probably, you know, it depends on where this goes here, but this could be one of the best shows of The Walking Dead, literally of all time. So a lot to talk about there, but we'll see where we go here. But yeah, anyways, definitely post all your thoughts down below. You know, episode 4 looks to be one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead yet. And I'm not even going to say I have a hard time believing that. Honestly, I kind of believe it just based off of the premise alone. It kind of makes sense as to why it could be. If this was just a normal episode and it was like just going to be, you know, another episode like episode 3 or whatever, then I would probably be like, I don't know how that's going to happen. But because it's literally Rick and Michonne in a room talking about everything, a lot of the emotional stuff. I mean, remember, like, we were wanting them on The Walking Dead. Even like Daryl Dixon, like all those shows, we were just wanting them to mention Rick's name. They kept saying the brave man and all this, and I was just like, just say Rick, like just say his name, please just say his name. But they refused, right? And then now it's insane because we have so many new scenes with Rick. Like, Rick is just on the show now. He's back, right? Like, Rick Grimes is actually back, and now we're getting an episode where they talk about everything. So yeah, I can see why this is probably going to be one of the best episodes of all time, because we've been really waiting for this for a very, very long time, right? But yeah, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.